This week in the world of NASCAR has delivered something truly extraordinary and unlike anything we've witnessed in quite some time. It goes far beyond the usual on-track rivalries, heated garage debates over car setups, or those thrilling last-lap battles that keep fans on the edge of their seats. Instead, this is one of those rare stretches where you sit back, take a deep breath, and can't help but think, this is genuinely going to reshape the entire landscape of the season. Right now, two completely unrelated developments are playing out simultaneously, each one hitting the sport with significant weight and long-lasting effects that will be felt for months to come. The first situation centers on a highly skilled driver who is doing everything possible to return to the cockpit, yet he remains physically unable to do so, no matter how much he wishes otherwise. The second involves a far more serious matter where NASCAR officials were forced to step in decisively and enforce a strict boundary with zero tolerance. What makes both of these stories especially powerful is how deeply they will influence the championship battle, open doors for other competitors, and fundamentally change how we perceive certain drivers and teams as the year progresses. If you follow NASCAR closely and care about the real stories unfolding behind the curtain, you won't want to miss a single detail of what's happening. Let's start with the first story, and I have to be honest, as someone who's followed the sport for years, this one genuinely stings to discuss. We're talking about Alex Bowman and the ongoing health challenges he's facing. What initially seemed like a minor issue has now escalated into something much more concerning than most people anticipated. He has now been officially ruled out for three more upcoming NASCAR Cup Series events: Darlington, Martinsville, and Bristol. When you add those to the races he has already sat out, it means Bowman could be away from the wheel for a minimum of 6 full weeks. 6 long weeks. What makes this particularly alarming is that this isn't coming from a dramatic wreck or a visible injury like a broken bone sustained in a hard hit. Instead, it's vertigo, a condition that might not sound overly dramatic on the surface, but anyone who has experienced it or studied it closely knows how incredibly disruptive and disabling it can be. We're talking about severe dizziness, a complete loss of balance, and a disorienting feeling that makes even simple everyday tasks difficult. There is absolutely no safe way for a driver to climb into a high-speed Cup Series car and compete at full throttle while dealing with those kinds of symptoms. It would be reckless and extremely dangerous for everyone involved. That's precisely why Hendrick Motorsports has taken such a measured and protective approach. The team has been very clear. They will not push Alex Bowman back into the car until he is completely ready, and that firm stance speaks volumes about how serious this really is. At this point, it's no longer about trying to save his points position or keep his season alive. This has become entirely about safeguarding the driver's long-term well-being. In a sport as demanding and unforgiving as NASCAR, anything short of full recovery could lead to devastating outcomes that no one wants to see. With the Easter weekend off right after Martinsville, the soonest Bowman might realistically climb back behind the wheel is the Kansas race on April 19th. Even that timeline is far from certain, though. In the most optimistic scenario, he's looking at being sidelined for well over a month. In a more realistic view, it could extend even further depending on how his body responds to treatment and recovery. The competitive impact is impossible to ignore. Right now, Bowman finds himself sitting 36th in the Cup Series standings, already trailing by 94 points to the playoff cut-off line. Let's be straightforward, his path to the postseason this year looks extremely difficult at this stage, but the playoff picture has taken a backseat for everyone involved. For Hendrick Motorsports, for his crew, and for the fans who truly get it, the main focus has shifted completely to his health and making sure he comes back safely. We've seen too many cases in the past where drivers tried to power through medical issues, and the results were rarely good. Vertigo is one of those conditions where even a small lingering effect could turn a routine race into a serious hazard. As tough as it is to watch the number 48 car without him, especially for a team with such strong championship pedigree, everyone would rather see him take all the time he needs to heal properly rather than risk a much worse setback. Still, his absence leaves a noticeable void in the organization and creates real challenges for the team as they try to keep momentum going. You can't help but feel for Bowman personally. You know how badly he wants to be out there competing every weekend, pushing the limits like he always has. Just as you start to absorb the weight of that story, the second situation takes things in a completely different and surprising direction. This one has caught many people by surprise for reasons that have nothing to do with physical health or recovery. Instead, it's all about responsibility, consequences, and the standards NASCAR expects from its drivers in today's world. Daniel Dye has received an indefinite suspension from NASCAR. Yes, you read that right, indefinite, with no immediate end date in sight. The reason stems from comments he made during a live streaming session while opening collectible trading cards. In that broadcast, he described an experience involving IndyCar driver David Malukas and used wording that NASCAR officials ruled violated their strict guidelines. Specifically, it fell under Section 4.3c of the rulebook, which prohibits drivers from making public statements that show disrespect or single out individuals based on race, gender, religion, or other protected characteristics. After a careful review, NASCAR acted quickly and decisively with an immediate indefinite suspension. There is no automatic return date. The only way forward for Dye is to successfully complete sensitivity training before he can even apply for reinstatement. His team, CW Racing, didn't hesitate either. They suspended him the moment they learned about the incident, showing full support for the governing body's decision. In one swift move, his participation came to a sudden halt. On the racing side, this change directly impacts the Truck Series event at Darlington. CW Racing has already named AJ Allmendinger as the substitute driver, and that's a big-time addition to the field. Allmendinger brings plenty of experience from his full-time Cup Series role with Colleague Racing, even though his last Truck Series start was back in 2021 at Watkins Glen, with 14 career starts in the series under his belt. His veteran presence could shake up the competition and bring a fresh dynamic to the race. Dye himself quickly issued a public apology on social media. He admitted he spoke without proper thought, insisted he never meant to hurt anyone, and importantly recognized that good intentions don't cancel out the real effects of what was said. Reactions from fans have been split, as expected, with strong opinions on both sides of the apology and the punishment. Regardless of personal views, NASCAR has sent a loud and unmistakable signal that this kind of language and behavior will not be tolerated. Looking at his performance this season, Daniel Dye currently ranks 13th in the Truck Series standings, sitting 88 points behind the points leader, Chandler Smith. Since joining the series in 2023, he has made 49 starts, collecting 2 top 5 finishes, 10 top 10 results, and 1 pole award. He's also been building experience in the ARCA Menards Series, with plans to run full-time there in 2025 for Colleague Racing while making extra appearances this year with AM Racing. In short, this is a young driver still working hard to establish himself and climb the ladder, and now his entire momentum has been put on hold indefinitely. Unlike the Bowman situation, which revolves around healing and eventually returning stronger, this case is purely about accountability and the price that comes with careless words. It serves as a powerful reminder that in an era where every moment can be recorded and spread instantly across the internet, one lapse in judgment can dramatically shift the course of a promising career. So there you have it, 2 vastly different challenges hitting NASCAR at the same time this week. One story deeply touches a prominent Cup Series team and a driver battling to overcome a tough health hurdle. The other delivers a strong message across the entire garage about maintaining professionalism, owning your actions, and meeting the high expectations placed on drivers in the modern NASCAR landscape. As supporters of the sport, we're all watching closely to see how these stories develop over the coming weeks and months. Will Alex Bowman make a full recovery and return to his usual competitive form? Will Daniel Dye fulfill the requirements and find his way back into the seat? Those questions will hang over the series for a while, adding extra layers of drama to an already intense season. What truly makes NASCAR so captivating isn't only the high-speed action on the asphalt. It's also these very human moments, the struggles, the tough choices, the setbacks, and the paths toward redemption that play out away from the spotlight. I'd love to know what you think. How do you feel about the way these 2 very different situations have been handled by NASCAR and the teams involved? Do you believe the responses were fair and appropriate? Drop your honest opinions and thoughts in the comments below. I expect this will lead to some lively and passionate conversations, and I'm really looking forward to reading what everyone has to say.